God damn it, we ain't charging. All right. Setting up your meeting for YouTube. Okay, hold on.
Ready?
It says it's live.
All right, hold on. I gotta jump off of this and go on the Zoom. This was the same issue I had before. Hold on.
Yes.
Hello everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey guys.
We're good.
Give us a second.
And we are live. So, welcome to Mama's Cocktail Hour. We had some delays today, but I am your host, Zeta Lisa, and
Hi, I'm Jasmine Luisa.
Hi, I'm Nancy G from Nancy Says.
Hey, love. And we have a special guest today.
Yes.
And this guest is so special because she's Jasmine's sister.
Yes,
and her name is Aurea. Aurea, say hi to everybody.
Hi, guys. Hello.
Welcome to Mama's Cocktail Hour, love. We're so happy to have you with your madre shirt.
Thank you. I'm excited to be a part of it. I'm excited.
Wow. Okay.
For the record, that's my baby sister. Yes. The baby. The baby. So me, the baby. So me and Jasmine
both
are always
look super young though. You guys look like you guys are like a year apart. Seriously.
Really? Well, I mean, look at my mom. My mom, excuse me, but don't tell her because there's nothing humble about her at all. No. There's nothing humble about my mom at all. There's nothing humble about Debbie.
She's gonna be like, listen, I look good. You don't gotta tell me, girl.
Right? She's gonna be like, yep, you know it. I'm looking good.
Well, no, her favorite thing is you lucky you look like your mother, not your father. That's her favorite line.
That's such a Puerto Rican thing to say.
So Puerto Rican. So Puerto Rican.
Yo, I don't know how many times my grandmother told me that I was blessed that I didn't look like my father. Nancy,
what? Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so happy you don't look like that piece of shit. Grandma, chill.
Oh my God, yep.
I was not subtle. I tell you, I would just let you know just like that.
Oh, then that's a Puerto Rican grandmother thing because my grandmother her soul
was never shy.
Oh, please.
My grandmother would never hold anything back.
Oh, that's grandma.
Not shy.
Jasmine has told me some stories about your grandmother, Aurea, that I wish I could have met her.
Let me tell you something about my grandma, Zeta. My grandma was like, she was a thug, but in her bata and her peluelos. But they weren't on her eyes. They were always on top of her head. So I don't even know why she needed them because honestly, I don't remember seeing them actually on her eyes. They were always on top of her head. And she was always looking for them, even though they were on top of her head. Yes, and her shades were always messed up from peeking out. Her shades look like the door.
You know they be the number one. What do I call my mom? I call her neighborhood watch.
Oh, yeah, that's what I call my sister. Jennifer. She's the neighborhood watch. Yes. Yeah, and my grandma had her designated beach chair, so when she sat in the front to watch what's going on in the neighborhood, she had her batas for every special occasion. She had her Christmas bata, her baby shower bata, hanging out in the front. And when you saw her, and when you saw her wear her t-shirt and her shorts, it was a special occasion.
Ooh.
Or she was going to the doctor's appointment, or she was going to the doctor's. Yes. But then she would complain the whole time because she would have to wear bra and underwear. Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've heard stories of my grandma not wanting to wear underwear too. So
I think it was just like a
maybe
thing
they
back
were
in the
just
day.
free souls.
Yeah, it was just a thing.
Yep.
Like they were
was
just
free
like
balling back then.
But you know what? I'm not mad at it.
I'm trying to free ball now. I hate wearing underwear now.
I don't. As soon as I get into the house, okay, the bra, and I don't even have like.
It's like everything comes off.
Everything. And you know now with everything going on that we're like home more. Like when I do have to wear a bra, like I'm so stressed out. Like I'm not like I want to
restrained. It's like no, I want to be free. I want to be free.
The girls want to be free.
That's
it. Yeah. Well, kudos to Wellas that they were able to do that freely. and just live life on the edge. No bras, no
No, that's
panties,
dope though. I
just
think
a
it's because
bata.
they were a different type of breed back then too. Like I feel like, you know, a lot of the Wellas were like they had to be strong-minded, they had to be firm, they had to be able to fight because
Yeah.
you know, when they was here it was a different time.
Yeah.
My grandma was what? Grandma was 4 foot. My grandma
Grandma
was
was
5 feet.
tiny.
She was
Feisty, but
tiny.
tiny.
Yes.
Tiny.
Tiny,
With a
but
dirty ass
spicy.
mouth when it needed to be.
Oh
Oh,
my
grandma's
gosh.
mouth was disgusting.
Grandma's was different levels.
Reminiscent. Zeta, I don't know. It's too reminiscent. I think we're over.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. And for Mama's Live, we do this every Friday, or we definitely try to do this every Friday to kind of spend time with you guys. And I'm so happy to have Aurea today. It's going to be a dope show.
Thank you.
And we are going to be talking about, guys, something that I think that I don't feel like I've ever heard this conversation. So that's why I thought it was so dope to kind of bring it to this platform. Because I think as women, this is something that we deal with often. And so I don't know if you guys saw it on our Instagram page, 10 workplace insecurities that we as women go through. And we have picked these, the girls and I, from things that we have experienced in our own life, or experiences that we know that other women have been through. So this isn't just something that we kind of threw together. It's really, and you'll see. But to start it off really quickly, I need to know what everybody's drinking, because that's important at Mama's Cocktail Hour. And Jasmine, if you say water, I'm going to have your sister get you.
She's so annoying. She's drinking. What do you drink? Let her go first.
Go first.
Remember, is Lent. Water.
Oh, you're so annoying.
Listen, I'm not even gonna play with God because I'm trying to get to heaven.
It's all good. No problem. Gotta respect.
All right.
All right. I'm drinking, I don't know, whatever champagne this is that Sean I found like at the back. There's no more wine. This is the last thing. It looks like pink champagne, and that's what I'm drinking. I don't know the name, guys. Sorry.
Okay.
And I have it in my mama glass.
You can
Nice.
never go wrong with Moscato.
Very
Love
cute.
some pink Moscato. I love it. This is mine. I gotta invest in it.
Love it. Well, I have Culitos red wine.
What?
Culitos red wine. I kid you not. I wish I had the bottle here so I could show it to you guys.
Wait, what, Aurea?
Don't make me get up and get the
Culitos.
wine, because I feel like that's very unprofessional. If I get...
Yeah,
but it literally...
I will take that. I was like, okay, testing the mic, testing.
I told y'all, I'm not responsible for anything that comes out of Audie's mouth.
She's like, I'm drinking Culitos.
What?
AKA for all my fans out there who do not see Spanish, she's drinking little asses.
Is Julitos or Culitos?
Oh,
Oh my God.
Look at the asses on that.
Little ass wine.
And
The girl in the back got
There you go.
I
Talk
like
about
it because they
marketing.
thick girls.
They thick
Thick
girls.
girls.
Those are vintage
And
bodies.
it does be good all the time.
All right.
$10.
Drink.
I never seen you drink that before.
There's actually, go down to mommy's house tomorrow morning, and on top of her table, you're going to see I have drinking one, and that's mine from last weekend. So you know.
Just so you know.
Just so you know.
Yo, I think
you're so embarrassing.
Definitely, hands down, Aurea had the best drink.
Absolutely.
You're so
Yes, I
embarrassing.
did.
I can't bring you nowhere.
My pink Moscato. Get it?
Next thing you know, y'all going to have a sponsorship by them. So thank me later.
There you go.
Right?
Listen, you guys are too much tonight. Yo, it's definitely getting crazy here at Mama's Cocktail Hour. we have our guest Aurea, for anybody just joining, who's Jasmine's sister. And we are loving her. And we can't tell Jasmine that we're loving her.
Baby sister. She's the baby. Yes, I am.
It's all good.
You see it runs in the family, right? You see that.
Well,
that what?
Sister of Jasmine is a sister of mine. So again, welcome, Aurea.
Yes, welcome.
So excited to be here with you guys today. Elise couldn't be here with us today, guys. She has something very, very special that she's going to be sharing with us pretty soon, and you guys will know when the time is right. So she may be not in the scenes for a little while, but we promise you it's going to be for all things mama later on, and you're going to love her surprise. Yes. So we're going to jump right in, folks, because we got some things to talk about tonight.
Let's
all right.
do it.
So 10 workplace insecurities for everybody who's jumping on, that women that we encounter as women, and we're ready to talk about it. So the first thing, and I have heard this thing, I have struggled with this thing myself, lack of education.
Yeah.
So I think it's dope that we talk about that, because I'm going to tell you from my experience that as someone who is a manager, I feel like I would rather go for someone who didn't have a high school diploma and I see has common sense, or has a high school diploma and I know is someone that is hardworking, versus education any day. That's me. Let's talk about it, ladies. Do you guys agree?
I agree 1000%. I've been to me, I agree with what you say. There's been so many women that came in and out of my office, some college graduates, just high school graduates, some just still in high school. And honestly, the people with the less education but have the most just life experience have been the best employees. The best.
I agree.
Always.
But you know what? I also think that we grew up in a time where there were, and listen, you might lose me in this, but listen up. We grew up in a time where there wasn't much entrepreneurship, right? So when you went to school for whatever your friends was going to school for. Like, I didn't know. It was like in my household, if you wanted to be successful, it was a doctor or a lawyer. And there was times where you were like, yo, I can't be no doctor or lawyer. What the fuck I'm going to do to make my parents proud? You know, so I don't think there was time for us to develop ourselves like how the kids have nowadays. Like my son is telling me he's going to school to be an engineer. He's 14 because he's able to dibble and dabble in the internet and find what he likes. Whereas when we was kids, there was no fucking internet.
We didn't have a clue that way. We didn't have direction.
We had to go to the fucking library to get some books.
We didn't have an idea. Yeah, I get you.
You know, so it's like, it's different things, but I think as individuals, we have common sense. Jazz, what do you think?
I think that the individual as a whole should be looked at, because I feel like just because you went to school doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have any common sense or life experience.
Right.
And you can flip it and say the other way around. Just because someone didn't finish their college education doesn't mean that they don't have the skill set nor the experience to do the same job. I think sometimes it's unfair and a lot of people get passed up because they don't have that piece of paper, but you got to look at the story in its totality. Like, why? What happened? But like, what happened in that person's life? But look at all this experience that they had. And it just gets me upset because a lot of good people get passed up just because they don't have a degree. And a lot of the times the degree that they went to school for don't got nothing to do with the job that they're trying to get.
Girl, I went to school for communications. Oh, wow, I'm doing communications now. But my job
doesn't call for it, right?
You know? So I agree with that. But, you know, I guess it's trial and error too, because you can have somebody who does have a high school diploma. Who has a college diploma. And if we playing devil's advocate, and is capable, you know? So I think it goes both ways.
I think it does go both ways because, you know, I work for a company that does acknowledge, you know, years of service as equivalency in place of college education. and that gives the individual an opportunity because they may understand that college is not for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you find a company, you start off with a company young enough and you start advancing with career opportunities and you see what positions are really, allotting opportunity for the individual to kind of make strides in. So they may start off at entry level positioning and may get a better opportunity knowing each, entry level position and kind of build up to bigger positions. And, that may help them in a better setting than starting off in college, going for something business oriented, because now they have more experience working from the ground up in a company.
No, I agree.
help
Experience definitely
build up.
supersedes
I
anything
agree
else.
with what you say, because
Absolutely.
when I started
it's
at
helpful
sorry.
in some situations to have that, degree based off of what that position entails, because it's going to give them more ammunition. But I think, like Jasmine said, I think based off of what the position is, that manager, is got to make an informed decision on that employee interviewing.
Yeah, no, definitely. Adia, you were
Well, I agree on that, because when I started at my job, I started off as a part-time front desk receptionist. And I don't have, I mean, I'm not ashamed of it. I don't have education past high school. And but when I started there, I did have experience. I lied about a lot of the things. They said that I know how to do this, I do that. I lied about it. I faked it till I make it. But I taught myself. And I was fortunate that they were able to look past that and let me work myself, up. And I went from a part-time front desk receptionist to the front desk manager to the neurologist manager to actually managing the whole company to then becoming a junior partner.
What?
And yes. And that was actually just all based on just working my way up, because they liked my spunk. I was gonna get it done. I was gonna figure it out. I was gonna, tell her how it is. And if I didn't know it, I was gonna, don't worry, tomorrow I will know. I will let you know how it is. And I really do believe I feel like that's the best employees. Because I think that there's nothing more better than hiring someone who doesn't know nothing, because you get to shape them, you get to mold them. They get to learn, you get to show, they don't come with bad habits. They don't come with, oh, well, I did it over here, I did it over there. No, this is how we do it here. You're learning how we do it here. I personally think that's the best thing to do. So when I became manager, when I hired people, I always gave people the opportunity the same way they gave me the opportunity, people who didn't have experience, people who didn't have the education.
Right.
So they could work their way up and they could learn and they could have that chance.
I think that's super dope, guys. I think that when I look to hire people, I definitely look at so much more than just what's on the paper. Because like you said, giving people a second chance, is good that we also try to like uplift our people, because there's a lot of times where I've had interviews and I've had bad interviews. I mean, I'm interviewing the person and this individual is horrible. I've taken the time to tell that individual what I thought, even though I didn't choose them for the position, what I thought they did wrong. Because as a woman, I'm letting you know that if you're going to continue in this job search, there's a couple of things that you're going to have to stop. Like, don't be smacking your gums. Don't be coming with long nails. Don't not come with a blazer on, because that's number one. If you don't have on a blazer and some slacks or some shoes, don't. If you're wearing sneakers, it's raining, you got your rain boots, like presentation is everything. You only have one time to impress somebody. So if you're going to come to me half-assed, then I know you're not going to give 100% of your job.
And have a resume with you.
What?
Please have a resume with you. When people come in interviews and they had nothing, I'm like, okay.
That's a no.
like you obviously not gonna work my front desk. Like you are so unprepared. Like, no way.
But people don't understand that. People think that sometimes, I think there's this sentiment where you think that you're going too hard. There's been times where I've went on interviews and I've done portfolios. And we could talk about that in a whole nother thing.
A whole new topic.
Because that's next level shit. But there was people that was like, nah, you're going too hard. And I'm like, no, because that's going to set me apart. People going to be like, yo, the girl who put that portfolio though, she was
right.
She went hard. She really wants this job.
You can't do too much.
They're gonna remember
you can't. You can't do too much if you're trying to sell yourself, right? Like Zeta said, you only have one shot. 30 minutes, maybe an hour the most to stand out, right? So you gotta put all your best moments, all your tricks, you gotta throw them out. And people actually like the fact that you think that whatever it is that important that you're going out of your way to impress them. That's a good thing.
Right.
Right. You got to show that you're hungry because there's 50,000 other people right behind you waiting for that job.
Hungrier.
So whatever you think is your style of dressing is the professional way of that version of it. That's
Jay,
what you need to do.
Exactly.
Jay, let me just tell you something now. But you got to let them know that you're hungry. But I must say that I did have people come on interviews and tell me they just need a job. They have to pay their rent. They had to do this. I don't want your side story.
No.
I don't want that. Goodbye.
I don't mean you hungry
Thank
like
you
that.
for coming. No, but that's
like desperate.
That. And it's awkward. I'm not gonna hire you because you're gonna be a problem. You're gonna be asking me for paycheck advances, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that's just too much. I can't deal with that. I'm a very awkward person.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then it's like weird, and I don't want to deal with this. So stop. You know what I mean?
They gonna be coming to Aurea for some lunch. Yo, can I borrow $10?
Yo, and I'm like, nah, not today. Or like, I just can't. You know, there was a lot of awkward moments
like that.
I know what you mean, but I'm just saying, you saying, go hard. But there's people that they be really trying to sell their life story to you. Like, I just lost my house.
That's manipulation.
They're looking for the pity.
No pity, because that shows that
I'm gonna get the job because someone knows my story and I'm gonna get it. Well, you're not getting it that way. You're getting
and you're not gonna sit on my front desk like that, because if you're telling me that, if you're telling me that, you're telling my patient that just walked in that story,
right?
And that's awkward.
No, I agree, ladies. I think this is some dope information. We're gonna have to do a whole podcast, folks, on interviewing, and we're gonna bring Aurea back for that one because
I hate you, Jasmine. She said, I don't mean that hungry. I know what type of hungry you mean. Why you always trying to play me all the time? She always trying to play me.
So we are moving on to number 2, folks. And number 2 is lack of advancement. That kind of just falls into what we were talking about, guys, where we were saying, like, if you think that, maybe because you didn't have a high school diploma or you only have a college degree or vice versa, that's one of the insecurities that you may have as a woman in the workplace.
But you know what? It doesn't even also have to be that. It also has to do with the social aspect of it. It could be that you may be afraid to go for certain positions because of the social circles that you find yourself in your job. You may be afraid to really go hard and show what you're capable of doing because you're afraid in somehow that might show up the people who are in your social circle as well as work. There's a lot of other reasons that advancement can stop. And sometimes you could be stopping your own advancement because you're worried about those around you.
Who you're affecting.
That is so true. That's such a good point. I didn't think about that. You're absolutely right, because that happens in especially bigger job areas where you can form cliques. You don't want to be the odd one out, or maybe if one of your friends applied for the position and then you heard about the position, you want to apply, but there's that awkwardness there.
Right.
Oh my God, there's so much things that we do with that females, guys.
That's another thing, the competition with
competition.
As females too. Like we always say we don't worry or we don't want to worry about, but when we form relationships with people, even if it's work friendships, there's always that part of us that's thinking about.
You ever think though that we just think too much into things and we just make it harder than what it is?
Always.
Because I feel like I just think it's just like our own insecurities. Like we feel like, okay, Bob with the suit and the tie is going to get the position because he's Bob with the suit and the tie. But how do you know that Aurea Elizabeth Miranda's not going to walk in there like, excuse me, I want this job and I'm going to take it? You don't know. I personally feel like
I don't think Bob with the suit and tie has got a chance now.
So. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like women were just like, that's just how we're like, it's just in us. You know what I mean? Like, it's just all around us, and the insecurities and the man is going to get a higher pay, or the man, and that's all true thing. That does really happen. It is.
Yeah.
But I do feel that sometimes we just let that take over. And we got to just own it. Like, you know what? I'm going to walk in there. Aria from the Bronx, Jasmine from the Bronx, you know, pick up our Valencia cake afterwards, right? After the interview. And we're going to do this. And if I get the job, oh, well. If not, you know what? Mommy already has somebody else, that her cousin sister that knows somebody else that's hiring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
everybody knows someone else.
Right. Like, you know, like, Titi's cousin sister knows somebody else is hiring. I feel that sometimes a lot of the pressure, I think we put it on ourselves because of everything that we know is going on, because we insecure, because we know how the system works, because, you know, we know, okay, men tend, you know, seem to get the position, get paid higher, or the women with the most, you know, women with the most education. Who cares? I think we just need to be more easy on ourselves. I think we're too hard on ourselves.
But I think that's our language. Conditioned, right? We've been conditioned for so long, but I think it's now where we're starting to understand things about ourselves as women, and we're more in control of ourselves, and we're now, I think we're better. We're in a driver's seat now,
right?
We're taking charge of our careers, and we're modern day mamas, right?
Right.
Keep it up,
yeah.
And like, that's why having these conversations now is
important.
It's very important.
Modern day mama, guys. I gotta take a quick mama stop because Zoe needs me to walk her into the kitchen. Hold on 1 second. How this happens.
This stuff is real. This is how it happens.
That's
because we have the puppy, guys. We have the dog gate up, so she can't go over it.
Oh, she can't go over it yet.
Yeah, so mama stuff. But no, I agree with you ladies. I definitely do. That's so lack of advancement could go so it could just be so broad. But no, that's definitely 2. And if we moving on to number 3, lack of popularity. This happens. Let's talk about it.
Yes. Oh my God. I could tell you this. As the manager, as our staff was all women. All women. It was like a staff of 25 women. Different age, everything. They didn't like me, none of them. I maybe had 2 girls that liked me. But that's okay. But, you know, I was getting a complaint from my bosses every day about me. But I knew it was all personal. I don't think women I don't think women are good with having a woman boss. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it sits right.
So
sits well.
I think I can understand why you say that, because it has a lot to do with ego.
Yeah. Right.
And we as women have a lot of ego. And a lot of times we talked about this in other podcasts, guys. If I tell you like, yo, Aurea, you look dope today, you look beautiful, you look amazing. A lot of women don't want to do that because they feel like it takes away from self.
Yep.
Like, yo, that means that I'm not beautiful, I'm not amazing, I'm not all these things, and that's not it. Because you are, if you're strong enough to give another woman a compliment, that tells a lot about your character.
Right.
Yep.
You know, so I think it has to do with that in the workplace. Like women, even women in high positions, they feel that like, oh, I can't teach them this because I don't want them to do better than me. I don't want to give them everything. I'll give them a little bit, but not all of it, because I got to keep something for myself because I got to set myself apart. But they don't understand if we come together and elevate, that's more power that way.
Right.
More power.
Agree.
You know, so it's hard making friends.
I don't have friends.
Seriously, we got to talk about that. Like, Jasmine, is it hard making friends as women in our 30s and 40s? Because folks, we all in our 30s and 40s. I know we may look like we in our 20s.
But we not.
I don't know about you, but I'm sticking to my story.
Is it hard making friends in this age?
Yeah.
Yes, and let me explain. Well, it's okay. Yes. It is, because it's even harder now, especially because like you said, when you become more comfortable with yourself, right? And you accepting of the version of whatever it is that you choose to accept of yourself.
Right.
I've come to realize that is a rarity at our age still. You still have a lot of people who are struggling with their sense of self.
Facts.
Right. So a lot of women are still very catty. I hate to say this. A lot of ego, a lot of ego, and a lot of them lack maturity. And also too, like at this age, I want relationships that are more than surface relationships.
Facts.
And that's very hard to come by. But I also realize that it's not about quantity, it's about quality.
Right.
So I rather keep my circle small. My circle's very small. I mean, my sisters and my loca being, the most common ones, but it's hard to make friends because at this point, think about it. At this point, we're not going out clubbing. Right. We're not doing all these social things. A lot of the reasons that we're friends is because we want to talk and we want to share. We want to be able to count on each other. We wanted to be able to bounce ideas and things like that. So if your relationship is not deeper than surface, you're not going to be able to connect on that level because there's no more clubbing and hanging out and movies and all of that anymore. So yes, that's my personal opinion.
No, I agree.
What about you guys?
Right. Yeah. I'm at that level too where, definitely keeping the circle small and keeping the friends that I've had, through these years of building with, where I don't mind having new friendships kind of build in with, but it's got to be linked in through my kids, where we're starting to kind of resonate, new friendships or lasting friendships through, with like if I have my daughters have their best friends and I build with parents that way and kind of enter into like the inner circle because
like a network.
The network, because we all have something in common, right? We do for our kids and that's our connection, but going clubbing, it's not something that
it's not realistic. When you a mom, you tired all the fucking time.
There's just
I'm so tired.
Priorities, your priorities change, but at the same time, you do want to focus on people who have same like-minded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely like-minded individuals, because if not, then the relationship is never going to prosper. It's never going to kind of move.
Because if there's somebody else thinking about going somewhere else and then you have other things to attend to, then there's no connection and it feels different.
I agree.
You know what too? It's also that we're wiser, so we pick up red flags quicker. So like before, we would just be friends with someone, even though we saw this stuff was going on and we would just overlook it or whatever. But now if we sense something is off with the person or we feel disrespected or we just feel like we don't clicking, I think that at this age, we're quicker to be like,
you know, it's just that like the way we were like raised, it's just like, I just don't like people. Like we have like a very big family. Like I got like 10 brothers and sisters, 50 cousins. So it was just always within my family. So outside of that line, it's just like, I don't know people and I just never bothered, So it's just like, I got my sisters, I got my cousins. I've never really, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to interact with outside people. I'm very awkward unless I'm drinking. So I feel like that's why I've never really had real friends. The friends that I do have, to me, they're family because they've been a part of us for years, like Ada and Wandy and them. But other than that, I just don't know how to like know people outside my family.
Your family.
Because our family is so big. Yeah. Like to me,
That's-
it's just all about like my titis, my
But-
cousins, my mom,
She-
my
she-
brothers
I
and
mean, that's an
sisters.
interesting perspective, though, because you know you grow up with your family and you have that closeness, but and then
Right.
go and kind of connect with the outside world. You kind of put your distance
Guard up.
because
Yeah,
you
your
don't
guard
have
up.
time for
Never.
any nonsense because you don't
Right.
want to like connect with anybody. It's like
Right.
you don't want to have the time because everybody else is nonsense.
Yeah, like to me, it's like I've had some friendships, but and with my cousins, I've had my ups and downs. But at the end of the day, I know family will always be family. And I know my cousins will always be there. I know my sisters will always be there. My mom will always be there. And as I got older, I realized that yes, they were the ones there in my corner. They were the ones here present. And I just don't like, I just don't like. I don't like outside people. I feel like they're shady. You never know what they're up to, and I just rather be around people that I know and trust. So I could honestly say that in my lifetime, I've probably had two best friends, but they're not even my friends anymore. So I don't even know. I don't know if that's like maybe that's just me, it's a problem with me or them, or maybe it's just the way I was raised. I don't know, but I just don't like people.
You know, it's so funny that she's the same way, and so is my other sister. Out of my sisters, I'm the most social, and I'm not even that social.
Wow. We're gonna have to do a show on particularly all this because this is so. I'm seeing a whole different side of Miss Jasmine Ayala right now because your sister.
I'm putting you on blast.
Because you put in, yeah, exactly. You put in the business out there, so now I can see clearer. I can see clearer. Right. But no, I think it's dope. And I can understand that too, because I come from a family that's real close-knit. Nancy and I, she has been the only woman that I've trusted for a very long time, and at least with stuff. And when I met Jasmine, it was different levels because at first I generally put my guard up. Like, I don't know, you know. But one thing about your sister Aurea, I could tell you is that she's super loyal. Like, and that's one thing I saw in her from jump was that she was loyal and that she was gonna do whatever and be there and support you whenever. And that's one of the reasons why, me and her bond are so close because I haven't found another female like her ever. Females, like you said, females they can have agendas. Because everybody got an agenda, right? They can be very critical. They could be around you because maybe they want something. And this is not all females, guys. I don't want you to think that we here like hate shaming people. It's not about that. We're just letting you know our personal experiences that we've had with women our age. And that's important. Like, I even respect that you come on here, Aurea, with girls that you don't know. Because to be sharing things with girls that you don't know is difficult, especially personal experiences and stuff like that. And I think we deal with that. I know I don't want to put my personal business out there with someone that I feel like I can't trust, because there's levels. But no, I definitely think that popularity in the work fields, going back to what we were saying, clicks can be so, just like we were talking about earlier, someone in your job got a position, or you got a position over someone in your job, that can cause conflict. A
lot of conflict, and it becomes really high school. And just going back to the what you were saying about we don't want women to think like we're hating, or the reason that we're bringing this up is because we want to start the conversation to start to undo that, like we want to be able to say, listen, like we are willing to be open and start changing the narrative, right? But at the same time, you guys got to meet us halfway too, because we're not naive either. We're only going to give us a certain amount before we realize it's not being received, and now we're experienced enough to know that we got to pull back.
Yo, is that shots fired, Jazz? I think that's like one of those shots fired.
No, it's not. It's just
being real.
Like, it's just like I'm mature enough and old enough to be like, listen, I'm talking this game. Yeah, I want to get to know you. I'll be here. I want to be open. But if you're not gonna meet me halfway and you're being shady, then I'm old enough now to be like, okay.
I just don't be annoying.
There's time for this anymore.
This
is like,
I'm not gonna. You gotta.
You want to build on relationships. You want to really have lasting relationships.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
I mean, nerdy.
Don't be annoying.
Builds. You don't have time for this nonsense. I mean, I'm not.
Don't be needy.
Mark, for crying out loud.
Needy. Yo, I'm telling you, I agree with this. And let me tell you something. Why when it looks like we lost Aurea. Oh, there she goes.
Oh, there she goes.
I gotta put
there's different levels to this because I feel like now my kids are involved. So when I have a friend and I allow a friend into my house, I allow a friend into where I am in my space, in my aura, and you are next to my kids, around my kids, like there's different levels now because now my kids have a relationship with you. That's that's a bond. So, you have to be very wary even now who you allow in your space and who you allow in your aura. Because you don't want none of that negativity. I know I don't be
letting nobody breathe Lucas air. Like you cannot breathe the same air with honestly, like, ew, no. To me, it's like, I don't know. I just agree with everything you say. I don't know how to explain it, but that's just how I feel. Like your aura, your energy.
Your energy gotta be right.
Yeah, is my son wearing his tabache today? Like, did I remember to put his mal de ojo on? Like, are you hating on my son? Are you hating on me? Like,
oh my goodness.
She brought it back with the mal de ojo.
Oh my goodness.
She bought me one for Christmas.
That's what I
if
did.
your son or your daughter didn't have that on, then you're not real Puerto Rican. That's a fact.
You sure did. Let me tell you something. When my son was in the NICU, the nurses used to look at me all type of crazy because he had a Precious Moments teddy bear peluche. And on the peluche, it had the sabache,
the sabache
pinned to it. And I was like, y'all don't move that and don't touch it. Period. All these evil bitches away. But you know what? I never understood it I became a mom. And I was like, ew, no. Should he breathe her air? Should he breathe his air? Should he? I feel it like energy and.
Yeah, energy is super.
Who's around you and your kids? It's so like somebody's energy could literally like be a damper, like just rain on your parade.
So true.
Like I could feel it.
Oh my gosh, it feeds into your light. Like, it just feeds in your energy and everything.
Yeah.
Yo, when my mom used to be like, your aura, your aura, your aura, I used to be like, oh, Debs, please. Like, right? Because mommy's always like, your aura is her aura. But now
your aura be crazy, Jasmine. When your aura is dark, it's dark. Me and Jennifer be like, ooh, it's gray today. It's dark. I'm sorry.
Yo, Aurea is blowing up all spots for Jasmine today, guys. You getting it?
That's what little sisters do.
Nah, but that's true. That's for real. It's so funny, but it's for real.
It's true to say that though. Like you can really pick up people's energy, and especially like at this age where we're like married, we have kids, we have jobs, we have all these other responsibilities.
Married. That's so weird.
Yeah, we can't afford to be like, you know what I'm saying?
You just can't afford to be around people, period. Like honestly, I just don't like people. Not saying you guys, but I just feel like I don't know how to explain it. Like I just don't know how to explain it. I just don't.
We understand you're very selective with the people around you.
I just don't have time for it. Like if we don't vibe, if you don't have my same interests, if you don't want to listen to Romeo Santos and drink culitos with me, then we can't vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't want to day drink with me because by 8 o'clock I gotta put my son to bed, I can't be your friend. You know? Like it's just very like
it's different levels for different folks. And we moving on to our next 10 women insecurities, and we have number 4 at lack of money. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that money plays a role in one of the insecurities in your job? For instance, if you know another woman that's probably at your same level and has your same experience and they're getting paid more than you, that's a big work insecurity. How do you females deal with it?
I judge. I feel like if we have the same experience and we doing the same thing and you're making more than me, I judge you. And I'm being honest, right? We're just all being real. Yeah. I judge. What is she doing to get the extra money? Mm-hmm. What's going on? Why her over me? There has to be some extra activities going on. some
So
extra
you
credit.
were you talking? So your mind only
novela
goes
action.
to sex?
Oh my
goes to
God.
Novela?
I mean, I'm just being honest. That's just how I feel, and that's what I think. Yes, that's where my mind goes. Yes, because I've experienced it. I've worked with women that get extra because they do extra. So
Wow.
that's just my experience. I do judge, but at the same time, it's also not fair for me to think that way, because there was times in my job that I got paid even more than the men in higher positions, and they were probably thinking the same thing about me. But believe me, that wasn't it, because if that was it, I would have been living in a house in Bayside, Queens right now. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? We would have been doing it up right now. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I judge.
Your battery's not dying yet?
No, I put the charger on, sweetie.
Are
we supposed to be real, right? You such a hater all the time.
Yo, this
always
is
a
Mama's
hater. That's always a hater.
guys, where you get the realness from sisters. If you guys are just tuning in, Aurea is joining us today. She is our guest. We're talking 10 women insecurities in the workplace that we encounter as women. We are going left with all topics tonight.
Serious left. And we're
because that's what we do here at Mama's Cocktail Hour. We plan to talk one thing, we have a squirrel moment, and we get off topic. We know now that Aurea doesn't like a lot of people, so if she likes you, be happy. All right?
Be happy. You're in.
You're in. So I want to move into like what we were saying, lack of money. Aurea said that yes, she would judge. Jasmine, how about you? Would you judge right away?
I mean, I don't know if, okay, yeah, I think I am gonna judge, because I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be like, why? Yeah, I don't know if my mind was gonna go where Aurea's mind went. But I think I would be more upset. Like, okay, take it like this. I'll start to internalize it. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing? What am I not doing? Right. And that's the wrong way to think about it, right? But I would be like, what am I not doing? I don't understand. We're doing the same job. What game are they playing that I'm not playing? Yep. You know, and it could be nothing. It could be you.
Wait, I want to know. Hold on, we gotta chime in. Aurea, what is she not doing?
She's just not rubbing the lantern right. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
The genie didn't come out. I'm just being honest. It's true. You didn't get your 3. If you did it, you would have got your 3 wishes, and you would have got your raise, your promotion, and your house in Bayside, Queens. I told you. That's just the honest truth.
Jasmine, I need to know. Okay, Aurea, really quickly, what do you think? And this is gonna get real private, folks. If they don't want to answer it, then they don't have to. What do you think? And we need to do an episode like this. What do you think your sister in the workplace would lack from your perspective? Jasmine just put her head down because she's like, I'm gonna fuck this bitch up if she says something crazy.
I think, wait. No, honestly, no. I think that in the workplace, what my sister Jasmine would lack will be standing up for herself. I think that's what it would be. Being more stern, because sometimes my sister is, and she shouldn't be, but sometimes Jasmine is very insecure. And in certain things, when she shouldn't be, she should have all the security in the world, but sometimes she's just very insecure. And I think sometimes that silences her. Yeah. And she don't speak her truth, and she don't stand up for herself. And I think that's something that probably would hold her back in the workforce. So she's just like, she's not secure enough to go in there and own it. And this is what I want. This is what's going to happen, or else. I think she likes to have her things very like planned. You know what I mean? So I
can see Jasmine being super planned. Jasmine, what do you think your sister would lack in the workplace?
I already know what you're going to say.
Emotional control. I think my
you gotta
sister.
explain more. Emotional control.
I'm gonna tell you, my sister is super passionate, right? And when she believes something wholeheartedly, she doesn't know how to pick her battles. Like she's just gonna go and say what she believes, how she believes it. She doesn't care. She got to get it off her chest. So sometimes her emotions get the best of her, and her message is not delivered the way that it should be because it gets lost in the delivery.
Yeah, that's what my bosses used to tell me.
They chop it off all the time to her. Oh, she's just emotional.
They told me that all the time.
Because she doesn't know how to control her physical emotional response. It just overtakes her. So she needs to work more on her poker face, I would say, I guess.
I don't think that's what it is. I think that they just were so overwhelmed with the realness.
Oh,
and they weren't used to it.
Wait, and she also has Debbie syndrome. She thinks she's always right, as you can
see. I don't think that's what it is. I think that they were just not used to a strong woman knowing what she wants. I'm not going to come to you with facts if I have too much pride. I will never let you tell me I'm wrong. So I'm not going to come to you if I'm not sure. You know what I mean? So I feel like they just wasn't used to that. I think they weren't, used to a strong, younger woman, a younger Spanish woman coming here and saying, this is what it is. And I think that they mistaken my passion with being emotional,
No, I think we confuse our passion. I think that we are naturally passionate people, and I think though sometimes we use that as an excuse to cover the fact that we don't know how to control our emotions.
But it's not our fault. We was watching novelas with grandma.
That's such a good point, Jazz. I think that's dope because I could agree. And you know what? It's only going to be fair. I don't have my sister here tonight. My sister's actually in Poland.
Nice.
I think we need to do an episode with sisters, and I should probably get my sister on here. But
you guys got a lot of alcohol.
Nancy is definitely my cousin, and we share so much. So Nancy, I'm gonna put the hot seat on me because even though we don't deal with each other professionally in the workplace, she can talk about maybe my professionalism here at Mama's, and I'm ready to take it. So I'm putting myself in the hot seat. Nancy, what is something that you feel like I would suffer in the workplace?
Suffer in the workplace.
Jasmine got some shit lined up. I see her face.
I see her. I already know she's like, ooh, 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 ooh. Ready.
We'll ask Jasmine next.
Like, wait your turn. Calm down.
Let's
go ahead, take it easy, coño.
Yeah, relax.
I don't know to transition that because, like, I see you as my cousin. I'm like, I know I can go to you and everything. I definitely see you as a strong, individual. I know that you definitely, have a good
attitude
for your employees. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Man, so okay, the question again. What would be something that you can handle?
Or what is this something, what was the question, guys? I've been drinking. I think it was something that we feel like we can enhance,
I forgot.
No, the question is,
because I'm like,
the question.
I need more.
The question is, what do you think is something that will cause, that you know of, that you feel will cause Zeta to suffer in the workplace?
Yes. I got like 5 in my mind for me.
Wait, what was the question again?
Maybe that can you repeat the question? Like personalize it. If someone is going through a hardship, that it may get to, like, she feels so much empathy for someone.
Yeah.
That's
definitely my problem.
That may take her into a moment of maybe weakness, as opposed to seeing for what it is, and
Mhm.
someone may take advantage of her in that kind of like, you know, kindness, and she's trying to like, you know, do her part and being like, all right, I'm gonna give you slack, you know, I'm gonna, you know,
Right.
moment and let you do this, but you know, you gotta catch up whatever you're doing, and that person's just taking advantage because she knows, or that person knows, that they can kind of take advantage of sharing whatever, you know, moment
Mhm.
going on through their life, and almost having like a pity moment, you know, where Zeta's like, oh man, I understand family is everything, all right, you know, whatever, but that person's trying to play Zeta.
Yep.
You know? I could
That's facts on facts on facts, because my favorite line is this. And Jasmine, I got the quote for you. Don't take my kindness for weakness, because I'm far from weak.
Right.
That's it.
That's the only thing I can see her in.
Or my favorite is the audio version.
What?
Oh, I'll say it. Don't take my prissiness for being pussy, because I ain't pussy.
That's a t-shirt.
Say it all the time.
You gotta say that one more time for Mama's Cocktail Hour. Go ahead. And you
Don't
gotta
take my
drop at the end and say, come to Mama's Cocktail Hour. I gotta hear it now. Let's go, Adia.
Don't take my prissiness for pussiness, because I ain't pussy. Period. I feel like a lot of women are thinking that. They think because, you know, you do your makeup and you into this and you into that you wasn't raised in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't play me. You know what I mean?
I like that one too. I definitely like that one. But all right, Jazz, we're gonna let you chime in real quick. What are some things that you feel like that I, as you as being my friend, would think that I suffer in the workplace? I'm trying to hold it together here, because she got like a whole list of shit. She got a fucking book.
This is a
I
setup.
think I could.
This is a setup.
I think that I could see you in the workplace getting frustrated very quickly and it being written all over your face.
I do that now.
But again, so hear me out. That goes back to our emotions. No matter how reserved you may be, as a Latina, there's still emotion coming out of you. If it's verbally or physically.
A luz clarita.
Oh my God.
In your aura, right? So I just feel like it just comes out of us. And I'm not saying that we gotta silence it, because it's a part of who we are. I think we just gotta better manage it.
Yeah.
Because people automatically use that as a target to come at us and label us as aggressive, emotional, you know what I'm saying? Unprofessional.
Yeah. It's true.
I've even heard unstable.
And you know, it's a double standard, because if a man came in doing the same thing, they would be bold, right? They would be assertive.
That's so true. The double standard is absolutely out there. I think that's dope that you mentioned that, which brings us to number 5, guys, of 10 workplace insecurities that we encounter as women, as you see Zoe walking by. And one of them is another one that I love, that actually Jasmine always talks about, is dimming your light. So what can you guys say about dimming your light in the workplace? Maybe you feel like, I don't want to show up my manager. I just got this job, but she made an error. How do I go about something like that? Let's jump right in, and we are going to ask Jasmine first. What do you think about dimming your light in the workplace?
So that is something that I have struggled with my entire working life. Because I am I guess you call it overachiever. And it's not that I even try, but whatever I put my mind to, I really put my mind to. So sometimes it causes me to stand out. And for a really long time, it would cause me conflict with colleagues and other people who I was working with, because it would look as if I'm trying to, you know, show people up, or I'm trying to be, you know, better than whatever, when in reality I was just trying, that's just me. So I would dim my light, in a sense that I would quiet my voice. I would try to slow down how quickly I work. I would try not to do too much to stand out. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm realizing that that's not a good thing, because I can't help who I am.
Right.
Facts.
You know, and I can't slow myself down because other people can't catch up. So
that's a very good point. And I think we encounter that in the workplace a lot, because there's the notion that we were talking about earlier, where if someone's getting paid more than you or has a better title than you, then you automatically already feel intimidated by that individual. What does this person have that I don't have? How can I work up to their standards to be at that level? So I definitely think that also in the job workplace, you want to play the game. You want to be politically correct. You want to make sure that you're not overstepping. So there's a lot of things that kind of go into it when you're dealing with women, period. Or men in the workplace. You don't want to, you know, even if your boss and he's a man, you may feel a certain type of way about maybe overstepping. So that essentially is dimming your light. If you're not able to take those risks and you're not able to give those ideas or whatever, you're basically blocking your own blessings.
Right.
So I think there's a fine line between dimming our light and you being like, no, I can't, you know, I can't just live mediocre. There's a lot of people who can just kind of stay at that level and stay stagnant forever in the workplace. And I'm not talking about those individuals. You know, I'm talking about the individuals who really do want to shine, but they don't want to overstep. How do you deal with that? Nancy, I'm interested to know for you, how would you deal with something like that? Nancy, actually, you're in a dominated, predominantly male, right, environment at work. Definitely. How do you deal with that?
For me, it's difficult because it is a dominated male environment. But it's hard in that level because that male environment, it's one thing, but I don't let it get to me on that level because I know who I am in the company. I started from the bottom up. You know, I
started from the bottom, now we're here.
Right? And I know what it took for me to get to my position. So in that environment, you know, being predominantly male, you know, they had the same opportunities to get to the position that I had. So I look at it differently, where if you had the same opportunities and I went for the job and I got it, then that separates me from everyone else. So when it came to dimming my light, there are some times that, you know, the people around you try to dim your light.
Woo!
Not so much in my moment of me dimming my light. They try to intimidate me because it is that male environment. But because I know I worked so hard to get to that space, I'm like, no, baby, I'm gonna shine. And, you know, I just keep on pressing forward. And the best thing about it is that, you know, you can't knock something down if you know the foundation of the policies and procedures that build you up there, you know? So that's what I thrive off of. And I think, you know, it took me a while, but once I started to believe and understand what I knew about my job, just made me more confident.
Right.
Love what it is that I do, you know? And so that, along with kind of the networking around in my space, allowed me to kind of be in that, where, you know, I didn't let anybody intimidate me.
Right. That's important.
So I think that kind of came into the idea of like, yeah, there are people that, you know, would want to intimidate you and take your light away. But, you know, for me, it was more like pressing forward because, you know, it was a challenge, you know, but for me to have accomplished that goal was so satisfying for me and gratifying that I didn't want anyone to take my light away.
That's what I'm talking about. That's super amazing. I love how you're able to overcome a lot of the issues that happen in a predominantly male field.
It's
Jasmine,
hard though.
Yeah, I could imagine. I could imagine it being hard, and how do you deal with that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Dealing with that every day, it's a struggle. I find it more that just being more resourceful. I always find that I have to be a step ahead.
Yeah.
I want to know the latest and greatest, the information that comes out ahead. I want to read it ahead of anybody else. If someone asks me, "Oh, did you hear about that?" Absolutely, I heard about it.
Yeah.
I want to be the step ahead that informs someone else as opposed to someone giving me information.
Yeah, that's amazing. Jazz, what would you say about dimming your light in the workplace?
What would I say? Well, I mean, you got what I would say, but I agree with Nancy. I will say this. I think that we need to encourage people who actually want to step up and they want to move up. I think that if we have a colleague, if someone in our work group wants to put in the work, then we should encourage them. Just because you may not want to do it, just because you are incapable of doing it, doesn't mean that you have to aid in making another person insecure and stop them from doing what they need to do. Like, because I see that a lot. There's a lot of people that don't want to go that extra step. They don't want to, or they can't, and they want to knock the next person because the next person wants to do it. Right? So it's like, if you're not gonna do it, then don't get mad at somebody else because they're gonna do it.
Right. Very important.
Don't hate because they want to do it. Like, just if you have the same opportunity, then just let that person shine. That
it's
like
ego. Going back to ego.
And when you're younger, because I think about when I think back now, all the opportunities that I probably missed because I was so caught up in that aspect of always worrying about what everybody else was thinking. Because again, my value was based on what everybody else thought about me. So it's like, why block your blessings? Why dim your light? You can't help who you are. It's going to radiate off of you naturally. And if you stop doing something that you want to do, it's gonna mess with you. You're not going to be happy. You're going to be miserable. So you can't get mad because somebody else is lazy.
And there's a lot of lazy people out there in the work field. You know who you are. You lazy. Aurea, what do you think? Dimming your light.
Well, me personally, I never dim my light. I just am who I am. And I walk in there, shine bright like a diamond. I am who I am. And if this gets me the position, it does. If it doesn't, then next. That's just how I am. I just feel like it is what it is. Like, this is me. And what can I do? I mean, I don't feel like
shine bright like a diamond.
Shine bright
all the time. Like, it is what it is,
Yo,
there would be some times that my bosses will walk in and they will be grumpy and they would try to, you this, you that, and I will be very honest with them. And maybe this is why they respected me so much, because I would tell them, did you get a blowjob last night? Have you had sex in the last 2 weeks? Did your wife cook you dinner? Oh, that's why. I get it.
No, hold
why
on.
Did
wait.
that?
We need to rewind.
Hold on a second. I need a drink. Hold on a second. Wait.
Everybody take several drinks for Aurea.
I do, but I do believe that's why they respected me so much, and that's why they, were like, oh damn, this girl has spunk. Sometimes you just have to just treat men like men, even in the workplace.
I was just gonna say, not different than what a guy would have said.
That's what I'm saying. So, and then I would tell them, well, I cooked dinner for my husband last night, so sorry. So let's just move on with our day. that just, I mean, honestly, I just feel like you have to be who you are. Why are you letting these titles and these jobs and this is like, just stop it. Like, stop letting men and all these things stop you from being who you are, who you want to be, and just speak your truth and just live your truth. If they can accept you for you, then that's not the place for you. That's not your calling. Move on. Next. Why do you want to be a slave and live the rest of your life living the person who you are not? That's just how that's just my view.
That's an interesting topic, because you know what? You're right. You spend a lot of time at your job, guys. And if you're not happy there, then that's somewhere that you don't need to be. And I realize that.
Well, you know what, Aurea? You're actually lucky because you're someone who realized that very early on. Ooh, right? So you're able to wear that in a way that, like, some people maybe like me, who is now figuring that out. So it's a little different, because for you it's second nature. For someone like me, I'm still learning it.
But I also do. I also feel like it also depends on the type of the type of person you are,
right?
And who you are. I'm very like outgoing, and it is what it is. You know what I mean? So it's like, this is what it is. This is what you're gonna get. You're not gonna get anything else. You either accept it or you don't.
But you know what, Aurea? I think you're definitely an individual that is super confident.
Yeah.
And I think that just exudes off of you, confidence. And a lot of time women, they lack that. Right? Yeah. They lack confidence. So confidence can go a very, very long way. I know for myself, I was a big girl. You know, I suffered with weight my whole life, and it was something that always kind of brought me back. And I'm not, you know, I don't shy away from it. I talk about it openly on here that I had like weight loss surgery, and I did what I needed to do for my life, not for anybody else, but for me, not for my husband, because my husband loved me big. He was getting all types of EBW shit going on. But, you know, it was mainly for myself, because I'm naturally an outgoing person. But let me tell you, when I felt like I was at my biggest, I felt like I wanted to be closed in. I felt like I didn't want to be on social media. I felt like I didn't want to take pictures. And what did that all have to do with? Self-confidence, because I didn't feel confident, you know? So I think as women, and that's why I don't knock the whole, you know, you getting your body done, you going to DR. I don't knock that, because I understand as a woman, there's certain things that you want to do to enhance yourself. Yeah. And if you doing it and you paying for it, that's dope. Nobody can hate on that. You know,
I agree with everything you're saying, because go ahead, Josh. Go ahead.
I want to ask Aurea a question.
Yeah.
What is it that you find, though, that you are still struggling with confidence-wise?
Well, definitely my weight. For the last, like, I would say, like, the last 5 years, I struggled with my weight. It's gone up and down, up and down, up and down. Through my 20s, I was okay with who I was. But you know, when you get married, you get comfortable. You gain this weight, and it's easy to gain it. It's hard to lose it. And I've always been a person that, again, was always very confident. When I walked in the room, I owned it. You know what I mean? I didn't care. But when you become that big girl, it's like, oh,
different levels.
Okay, right. So now what? But that's definitely something that I struggle with now. Is my weight up and down, up and down, up and down.
And you a mom, so it's gonna be like that. And when I feel like I got my biggest, and my biggest, guys, was after I had Zoe, and I'll say it on here, I was 270. And that was my biggest. I mean, I'm a tall girl naturally. Like, I'm not someone, like, I'm like 5'9".
Yeah, me too.
You know, so at my biggest, like, I was at that, and it just got to a point where I was so tired of the diets. I was so tired of the fads, and I just got to a point where I was like, and it's crazy, because I mean, we talked about it when we talked about Wendy Williams. If you guys haven't checked it out, check it out. Our last YouTube live last Friday, we spoke about the Friday before that, because last Friday we took a break. But the Friday before that, we spoke about Wendy Williams and what she dealt with in her family regarding weight. That's super prevalent, especially in Hispanic households. Because if you don't look a certain way and you're not skinny, they automatically put you down for that. And you already know how social media goes with that type of stuff. So I feel like as women, we influence to think that we need to look a certain way and we need to be a certain way. And I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, yo, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm going to be who I am. Authentically.
Exactly.
Like, fuck what you think. If you don't like it, you don't got to watch it. You don't need to be here. But I am who I am. And that's another thing what I tell the ladies. Like, I come unfiltered. Like, I curse when I curse. I'm going to talk to you how I would talk at home. And I'm just not going to, because that's who I am. And in order for me to be authentic and be real, I got to be who I am. And I know you guys can understand that. Because as you can see, like, we get it Aurea full 100% real. There is no filter. So, you know, and as women, I think that's dope. I think it's dope when we can come and be real and be like, yo, this is what I think and this is how I feel.
This is her all day long though, 24/7, all day.
But you know, that was also a lot of things I struggled with at my job was because I was so strong-minded. I was just, this is what it is. I feel like you hired me because of this. I feel like you gave me this position because it is. Why are you trying to dim it? Because it's not what you want to hear. Yeah. Because I don't agree with you. So now it's not okay. Before it's okay, but now because it doesn't agree with what you agree with, it's not okay. And that's a lot of things that I struggled with in my job, at my job, is, you know, okay, well, then it will go to, this is what pissed me off. It will go to you're emotional, you're being sensitive. It's that right there is just a big issue, I feel, when it comes to men in the workforce. They always, when it comes to a strong woman, they base it off of you're being dramatic, you're being emotional, or you're being sensitive. That's a big issue that I struggled with.
And let me ask you, Aurea, because you say emotional. So my question to you is like, have you ever cried in the work field, like in the workspace? Have you cried?
I have, yes. I have cried to my bosses, but it was because with my bosses, I started out so long, you know, I worked at that job for 10 years. I started with them when I was 21 going on 22.
Wow.
And I just stopped now, 10 years later, 32 now. So they basically, you know, they seen me from a child to an adult. You know, I was there, I was 21, a baby. And, you know, when I stopped working there, I'm married with a kid. So they have seen me cry. They have seen me being a lost young soul. You know, they basically kind of raised me. So, there was a lot of emotion because, you know, you guys been there through my whole life. You guys helped raise me. And I was comfortable to be raw with you guys. I was comfortable to be myself. I was comfortable when I was angry and wanted to cry. I could do that in front of you guys without you guys using it against me later on.
Wow. Okay.
You know?
So that's different levels. Right. You trusted them.
Level.
So that's different.
Right. So when I came to you crying about something, I didn't expect you to use that against me when I'm come to you angry because I feel like this person's not doing their job and I'm tired and I'm stressed out and I'm just venting to you and I feel like she's not the good employee. I didn't expect that to be used against me. I was like, you're being emotional and dramatic. Stop. You know what I mean?
Oh, I hate that word dramatic.
Wow. Dramatic? That's different. That's I don't think I've ever used that in the workplace to describe a woman because I think that could be taken like human resources 101. You know?
I was a human resources, so who the hell do I go to when my boss is talking about? You know, one thing that really I want to share this story with you. We had a meeting with an employee that I brought to my boss's attention that I feel like she wasn't doing her job. She was doing some shady stuff, and I didn't want her there anymore. So that just so happened to be around the same time that Lucas was in the NICU.
Okay.
So we were having a meeting. I had to excuse myself for a second because they called me from the NICU. I stepped right out the office. I was still right by the office. The door was cracked open and I was by the sink. It was right next to the thing. And while I'm on the phone, I hear one of my bosses tell the employee that I told him needed to be fired that, you know how Elizabeth is. She wants her way and she's very emotional. You just have to agree with her.
What?
I would never forget that. I was so like, and at that point, yes, I just had a baby. He was, you know, in the NICU. I'm on the phone with him. And then I hear my boss is telling me this. At that point, I was on fire. I wanted to cry. I was angry, but I couldn't go in there. I couldn't cry. I couldn't be angry because I would just be, you know what I mean? Proving him right.
Right.
And at that point, I could say that, you know what? That could honestly be the only time that they did my light. Because I walked in there now, like I didn't have that. I'm out. I don't care. I walked in there like Okay, fine, it is what it is. You won, I lose. Because what can I do now? Because now you're my boss. You're supposed to have my back. I'm the manager. You just told this person that's under me that I'm dramatic, and you just have to agree with me. So what do I do? What can I say or do now that's gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's big.
I had to walk in there with my head down now, and I did in my life, and I
big.
felt so betrayed. I felt so betrayed. I feel like that's not fair. That is not fair.
So, Aria, let me ask you, what do you think did you learn from that experience? And what do you think that you would now do differently if you had to kind of move? I don't know if you moved on or if you're still working there. But
no, I did move on.
Okay.
I did move on. It came to a point that I had to move on for my sanity, for my, for me. One thing I would do different is that I would not mix. It would just be strictly professional.
Got it.
You know what I mean? I did enjoy the years. I did enjoy the fact that I felt like I had family outside of family. They did teach me a lot. But one thing I did learn is that also was like a downfall, because they knew so much of my personal life, because they knew so much of me. They didn't get to, it distracted everything else. You know what I mean? Everything is just too personal. So one thing I would do moving on, when I do move on, I would never mix business with personal life. Never.
Yeah, there has to be a separation.
There
always has to be a balance, guys. And I agree. And that brings us to top number 6. If anybody's just jumping on, welcome to Mama's Cocktail Hour, guys. We are YouTube live. We are discussing 10 workplace insecurities that we as women encounter. And we are on number 6, which is not being taken seriously in the workplace. I know that as a Latina woman, I can tell you from my experience is that when we already come with all our colors, like I like to say, we are already judged. And I know we do it as individuals. It has nothing to do with just being Latina. We as women in general judge other women for whatever it is that we see before actually getting to know the person. So I would say for me, and my experience is, yes, as being a Latina woman, as Aria said, emotional, or wearing my feelings on my face, or being maybe too aggressive or too assertive. But yeah, being someone who is trustworthy, loyal, and able to do their job. There was times where I wasn't taken seriously because of one, and I'll tell you, is my age. Because I was a lot younger, they assume that I'm not capable. And for me, that was the biggest thing that I feel like I've always struggled with in the workplace. Nancy, we'll start with you. What do you feel like you were not taken serious for in the workplace?
Same thing. I was the youngest in the department when I got the position. And this is a department that was, years of service was there,
How long were you there?
I was with the company probably 5 years before I went into the department. And everybody in the department was 17, 20 years my senior.
Wow.
Considered the baby of the work group. And it was at one point I felt like, okay, wait a minute, this is a work group of my peers, right? But on the age front, they weren't my peers because they were much older. They were about 20 years my senior, and it was different because the generation's different, and I'm coming in with a fresh eye to things and a fresh perspective.
Yep,
and,
absolutely.
I'm coming in kind of like, all right, let's do this. Even my lingo is different, like, hey, what's up? Like,
it's true. It's so true.
I'm not coming off in that term, because I know how to handle professionally, but it's almost like the vibe, like, all right, like let's do this, and it was just weird, and for the most part, I was welcomed, but there was some, hesitation on the older, and again, majority majority.
And so you would think that these people were and sorry to cut you off, but more intimidated the fact that you were a younger woman coming into a predominant
women and Hispanic.
Yes.
So, the workforce definitely was on some level, I would say on some level diverse, but not as diverse as you want to see it.
Okay.
And it got to the point that I was like, all right, this I don't know what's working in my favor. The fact that I got the job, I'm going to make things work, or the fact that because I'm younger, like they're going to be retired in the next few years and I'm in an apartment.
Right.
That's true.
So I'm going to be making a difference. I'm going to be, finding, I'm going to be doing this, that, the other. So where are we in the next few years? How's it looking? So, I mean, that was in itself a task, but, at the same time, you go in it with a positive mindset, but you don't want anybody, thinking of you in one term, because they're still first impressions, right? You're trying to give them best stuff, but they're still seeing you. How old are the first question? Oh, really? Like,
did you ever
how many, like how long you've been with the company is the first question. With what they really want to ask you, how old you are.
Oh, that's next level. Have you ever told somebody your age?
No. Not
I'm pretty sure they guessed.
Well, not first entry. Not first entry going in. But years later, yes. Once I got to know the work group and realizing that they weren't as they perceived me or I perceived them. If
I had to guess your age, Nancy, everybody, let's quickly guess Nancy's age. All right. I'm going to give you, if you were my cousin and I didn't know your DOB, and I'm not just saying this as a biased individual, folks, I would give Nancy 37. Aurea, you don't know Nancy from a hole in the wall. You go.
I say 35.
Woo!
I'm being honest.
Jazz, go.
It's not fair. I know her age.
I know her age too.
No, I would definitely think she's in her 30s. Like her late 30s, like me.
Nancy, wow, girl.
So should I?
That's up to you, girl. That's our mama.
I'm proud. Hour. I'm 47.
Woo! Oh, you amazing. Amazing.
Thank you.
I didn't know. Amazing.
It's my facial care.
What are you doing, girl?
Yeah, you look great.
I'm breathing in young spirits. No, just kidding.
No, but I think it's
I breathe my kids, the essence of my kids. No.
You look amazing though. Seriously. I'm not just saying that because you're my cousin. No, but Jazz, what do you think about what we were just talking about not being taken seriously?
I would say I had that more when I was younger, in my previous employment, but it had a lot to do with the fact that I was younger, and also with my emotions. It was probably a combination of me really not being able to handle my emotions, but also them using it as an excuse against whatever it was that I was trying to say. There was a lot of, because I also still spoke my mind. I also had strong opinions. I just had a lot of emotions behind it. And that's why with my sister, I say, I always tell her, she knows I always tell her this, you don't want your message to get lost in the delivery, because I know that I encountered that a lot. You get labeled dramatic, you get labeled emotional, you get labeled stress sensitive, and then you're not taken seriously. So that's what I can say that I struggled with. Now it's a little bit different. I'm in a different situation, but that definitely is what I would say I struggled with, and I felt I wasn't being taken seriously because of, which sucks, because again, like we keep saying, if it's a man exhibiting some or all of the same qualities, they're given a different title.
That's a whole nother topic for another mama's cocktail hour.
That's right.
But I agree with you 100%. Aurea, what are your thoughts?
I agree with Jasmine. All about the like emotion and the age. The age plays a big part, definitely. I do really feel that if you come in there younger and also a minority and don't have as much as education as the rest, and just being a woman, you're just not. It's just you're not going to be taken seriously.
I love the way she said woman. Woman.
You know
She
what's
made me
another
feel
thing
proud.
too? Another thing I would say, culturally, that if they hear us talking maybe in a way that we talk when we're around, when we get comfortable with things that are familiar, it can be taken like we are uneducated or
You know what,
we're
Jazz?
being
I don't mean to cut
ignorant.
you off, but there's one thing that one of my bosses used to do to me all the time, and it was he would always correct me when I would speak. Because I just like, I don't know, like Spanish, I really language, but I don't know, I just have an accent. And when I would say certain things, he would always correct me. And what upset me about it is that he would do it in front of anybody, employees, patients, anybody. And he would correct me. Because, we have an accent. We're from the Bronx. Like, we're raised by Latina families. So, we say quarter, we say water. You know what I mean? Like, we say things like when we say certain things, we don't say it all. And he would correct me. And that would just piss me off. And I just felt like he was just like basically looking at me like I was just like this uneducated little girl that he needed to be like, Let
me ask you something, Aurea. Did you ever call him out on that?
No, never.
Why?
Because I felt, you see, it was very tricky. I had two bosses, right? One was higher than the other.
Okay.
There was one boss who was more like my friend. I would say he became my friend. We were very close. Then there was the other boss who was the bigger boss, but I actually looked up to that bigger boss. I admired him. I looked up to him. Just the type of man he was, the way he raised his family. He was just always something I wish that my dad was.
That's deep.
So, right. But he also treated me with that type of respect. Okay. So when he would try to when he would do these things, like correct my speech or do this or do that, yes, it bothered me, but also in a way it was like, okay, that's like my dad.
So you thought it was coming from a place of love?
I thought that it was both. I thought that it was coming from a place of love, and I also thought it was coming as a place like this girl from the Bronx, she don't know any better. You know what I mean? It was like both. But I don't know. I feel like he didn't know any better. You know what I mean? The way he came about it.
Was he Hispanic or was he white?
No, he was white, Italian.
Okay.
I feel like it was, that's why I'm saying I feel like it was both. I feel like it was like, okay, this girl from the Bronx, Spanish girl, don't know how to talk. Let me, like, this is how you say it, you know what I mean? But I also felt like it also came from a place, genuinely, I also felt like it came from a place like, okay, she doesn't know any better. Let me help her. You know what I mean?
What was his title? I'm interested to know. What was his title?
Okay, so I had two bosses. One boss was basically the big one. He was the one that was actually the owner of the facility, the main doctor. He was the owner, the main doctor of the place, the office, everything. Then the second boss was a partner.
Got it.
He was the main boss was a well-known neurologist.
Understood.
So I really, I admired him. I looked up to him. He was there for me. And like, again, I looked at it as like, okay, he's my boss and he does these things to me, but I also felt like it came from a good place. I don't know if that could have been the inner little girl in me that always wanted that father figure. So to me, because he was a father of daughters, I felt like, okay, maybe he's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
right.
So
I understand that.
That's why I took it as that as well.
And I think we do that as women a lot. I know that I myself have daddy issues. My dad was around my whole childhood, but we didn't have the best relationship. I think that's one of the things that me and Jasmine can relate on. Is that the struggle with with your father.
Right.
But I do think that in the work field, when we have a certain level of respect for a man, that us as women, what are we by nature? Loyal. So I feel like when a man and we feel comfortable and we're having this person as like as a role model, we take that role very seriously, and we are going to act as such. And when we give that vulnerability to that man and they take advantage of that, that's when it becomes next levels. And I think that's what happened, Aurea, in your situation, from my opinion, is that you trusted him. So for him to take that.
Right. And I also feel like that's where the emotion and everything came into play, because I took that on as like, I trust you, I admire you, and I respect what you do, but at the same time, don't try to play me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
what was it? Don't take my pussy for what?
Take my pussy.
No.
Yes.
Don't be giving it.
And it's true what you say. You become loyal.
T-shirt material.
You play this role, and there will be times that I will find myself. When lunch came, I will make sure his lunch was to the side. I will make sure he ate. I will make sure there will be like, it was basically like being his wife,
work wife.
Wow. Work wife. So I will make sure he did this. I will make sure his bills were paid. I will make sure that he sent the application for his daughter. I will make sure that I will make sure that I will make sure his parking was paid. I will make all these things. Did you call your wife today? Like it almost became as if it became his personal assistant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just became
like really taking care of him, though.
Right. And it didn't really hit me that he meant so much to me until the day of my wedding. And when I was in the limousine, he texted me and he said, listen, I am here. If you need me, understand I'm here. Wow. And then I remembered that he understands the history with my father. And he understood that my dad was supposed to walk me down the aisle, but maybe my dad won't show up. So he was like, well, listen, I'm here. If your dad don't show up, I'm here.
Oh, wow.
So that's
I didn't know that, Audi.
Yeah. So that's when things became complicated, because, okay, this is my boss, but he's also somebody who I admire very much in my life. How do you separate those two? You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, that's next level, because you built trust with him. It was 10 years.
So it's just not, it's not just, in my part, it's not just business anymore.
Right.
Maybe in his aspect it is. Maybe he doesn't realize the situation. Maybe in his end it's just business. But in my part, it wasn't business. So now that I think about it, now saying it out loud, maybe I was being emotional. You know what I mean? When he was calling me being emotional, dramatic, maybe I was. But that's because maybe we saw the relationships different.
Yeah. Yeah, let me ask you, because I know that you mentioned previously that you no longer are there. No. Do you still have a relationship with this guy?
No. So basically, it didn't end well because I decided I needed to leave for me and because of the way things were going on. And I think because the relationship was so personal, I think that he took it like, oh, so you're just going to pick up and leave me stranded here.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And I think that he saw it as, you're just, after all these years, you're just abandoning us. So I think it hasn't. And that's something that I struggle with every day, because for 10 years, like I said, there were such a big part of my life. That was my identity. You know what I mean? That was me. Yeah. I was a boss. I went in, we didn't agree with things, but that was my title. Right. And overnight, it was just taken away from me. And he was such a big person in my life. So for that to just go, it really hurts,
No, I get it.
It's hard because you become emotional with people, with work is just, you remember you are at work more than you are at home.
Fact.
You know what I mean? And you got to understand also, like,
some things
you can't really, your family doesn't really know you. You know what I mean? Because you're not with your family all day, every day.
That's a very good
These
point.
people, when your employees know who you can stand in your family, who you like in your family, what doctor appointment you went to, what doctor appointment you should have went to, you know what I mean? Your
personal, your day to day.
Yeah, your coworkers.
Did you take that? Did you take your vitamin?
Yeah, like, did you know what I mean? Does your stomach hurt? Should you have, what you ate for lunch.
Yeah.
Your coworkers know everything. So, you know, to be at a workplace for that long and then for it to just drop overnight, it's a big, it's a big thing, you know? That's why I always say that you have to be happy at your workplace because it's your life.
Amen. Agreed.
It's your life. You have to be happy.
It's a very big part of your life.
You have to be happy.
Yeah,
I agree.
Those relationships are very important.
And it's crazy because, like you said, you build relationships at work because you're with these people more than you're with your family.
Right.
And it becomes that personal. So I can understand Aurea. And I wouldn't say that you would even be an emotional now that I know the story. I would think that you were just being vulnerable with him.
Right.
And he took that. And like you said, he manipulated it however he wanted to meet his agenda. But, you know, ladies, moving on to our next point is aging in the workplace. And I know we were talking about the reverse of being young in the workplace, but let's put ourselves in the perspective of a woman who's now aging out.
Right.
So you're in your 60s and now you have the girls coming in who are in their 30s, who are probably a little bit more efficient, more tech savvy, more able, more pretty. How do you deal with that? And I know, I think it's interesting for us to put ourselves in those women's shoes because, you know, we're not there yet, but we will be there one day soon, God willing. So what do you think about aging in the workplace? Let's start with Nancy. What are your thoughts?
Aging in the workplace, for me, it just seems so far. No, I mean, I think of it this way. You know, when you have people come in, you want to like mold them, right? You want to like help them achieve a level. And I think by embracing them, you add worth. You know, and it's important. I see that early on, I didn't feel that. But as I got to know my work group, I did feel that, you know, because they were an older work group and I was able to kind of connect with them on that level where they did kind of embrace me, which I appreciated. So I know that for me, as the type of person that I am, I love to coach and nurture, and I love to make sure that someone always has a foundation that they can build on, because we're in the same team. You know?
It's true.
And to allow ourselves to be a part of the team that can allow more momentum to grow, that adds worth, you know?
Right.
I can see myself allowing someone, you know, at a younger capacity to kind of, you know, take them underneath my wing and just kind of, you know, help them, because I'm just that type of person.
Right.
I guess, you know, based on the individual, right? Because if they're young, they may not be as mature.
Yeah, that's true too.
At that level, like, oh, what is she going to teach me that I don't know? Then that's the moment that we'll just have to school that individual, because everything is a competition. Right. Because I don't feel like I'll have to compete on that level, you know, because I'm not immature.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But I think that is that balance, you know, are you dealing with someone who's ready to learn and appreciate? You know, that's
right.
That's the level of separation, you know, where do you want to learn? Do you want to, you know, kind of build a momentum? Do you want to build a network? Do you want to be able to absorb this information that's being presented to you, you know? Also bring something to the table. You know, yeah, you may be younger and you may have some information that may be helpful to us.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, we're not dismissing your thoughts, your ideas, what you're bringing to the table. And I encourage that, because that's always going to keep on generating great ideas and keep the synergy going. And that to me is important, having a synergy in a work group.
Well, Nancy, you're an amazing person to work with, because I don't know if a lot of people in my job will be as welcoming.
I mean, but again, you have to remember where I work, right?
I know. Because I'm like, wow, girl, you're the best person to work with.
I have to say, you know, and it goes back to what Aurea was talking about. You got to kind of create that for yourself, you know?
Right.
Because if you're not creating that work environment for yourself, then someone else is taking it from you.
Right.
Preach.
You know? So
absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Aurea, what are your thoughts?
I'm
taking this in stride. Aurea is quiet. She don't.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Aging in the workplace.
I mean, I see it as like, you know, I don't know. Okay, so like I said, like I started as a young girl, you know what I mean? So I know how it is. So when I hired the young little girls, I loved it. I felt like it was like a fresher breath air, you know, like a fresh air, and
right.
It was cool, and I loved it. And it's just reminded me of me when I was younger, and I live for it. I live for, you know, come in, do what you got to do, work it, never intimidated. I feel like, you know, give them a chance like I was given a chance, you know.
That's deep. Absolutely. I think we should highlight that, because that's important.
Yeah.
I think that's one philosophy that I definitely move on all the time, is like, yo, I'm going to give people chances because I was given a chance.
Right.
Yep.
And I think that that's dope.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I love it.
Do you feel like, though, very quickly, do you feel like when you get to an age where maybe now you're looking forward to retirement, that you will be intimidated by these females? Or do you feel like it's going to be the same type of feeling that you have now, where you're like, no, I'm empowered by it? I think it's dope.
No, I don't think I'll ever, I don't know. I just feel it based on the person and the insecurities. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't feel like I would ever feel intimidated. I look at it as like, you know, I'm teaching you my knowledge. I'm showing you, you know what I mean? I'm showing you the way. So why be intimidated, you know?
That's amazing. Jazz, what are your thoughts?
I mean, like everyone else, I would hope that when that time comes, I would be in a position where I have experience. I am seen as a mentor. I love to teach and share. So I would hope as I get older and I move up in my career that I have that same sentiment, and I would like to continue to do the same thing. I feel that I'm approachable. So I probably would feel insecure in the sense of my time when it comes to retirement. I might be sad. So I might be insecure about that, but I would hope, again, who knows, that I would be just the same way I am, just more seasoned with more experience, and even more willing to share that. But you know, a lot of things come into play. Like you don't know how what situation you're gonna find yourself at that time in your life, where you're gonna be working at, and how you treat it. Because I think how you treat it, it also plays a big part in how, when you're at that age.
Right. No, that's true.
You want to give back.
How you want to give back, and how you feel. If I feel that I'm in a place where I've been appreciated, and I'm respected for the experience and everything that I've done for the company, I'll probably be in a much different place than if I was somewhere where I felt that I was being dismissed and, you know, taken advantage of. But I say me now, I just hope that I'm in a mentorship, you know, position where I'm giving and also learning, because I love to learn new things, and I hope that's happening at the same time. But you know, Zeta, who knows?
I know. It's a hard question, girls, because I feel like, you know, a lot of us, you know, we aren't at that age yet where we feel like we're at that point. But I can understand how that is definitely a work insecurity, where you will feel like, you know what, someone is coming in who's a lot quicker, who's a lot more efficient, is a lot more tech savvy, and that can be intimidating. And that can definitely be insecurity. And that, folks, is number 7 for us 10 workplace insecurities. If you guys are just checking in, welcome to Mama's Cocktail Hour. We are talking 10 workplace insecurities that we as women have. And we are moving on to number 8, which is, and I know everyone's going to have a lot to say about this because I have a lot to say about it, childcare issues and feeling insecure about those. And you know what?
Woo.
Since Aurea has baby Lucas, we are going to start with her. Aurea, what is some of your experiences with childcare or children in the workplace?
Well, my experience is, a little bit unique because for the first 4 months of Lucas' life, he was in NICU. Right. So I basically had a babysitter the whole time. I didn't really have an issue with that. The only issue I did have was because my son was in the NICU, I did want to be back and forth a lot.
Right, naturally.
Right. So that was a little bit issue because I did feel at that time, I did feel a little insecure that, okay, I'm not as present as I should be. I have to take all this time off. Will I be replaced? Will they cut my hours? Will they cut my pay? Because I'm not, because of my kid, which I feel like is so unfair. It's so unfair that the moms have to deal with this, but men being dads don't have to deal with that. But us women have to figure out babysitters and time, but men just being dads, it's okay. But I did feel very insecure. That really, really, really was a big weight on my shoulder. My shoulder. When it came to that, how do I do this? How do I do this without feeling like I'm gonna lose my title, my job, my money? That was very, fortunate enough. They were very, great with the situation, but I still had that insecurity.
Yeah.
Right.
But I still felt like, okay, I'm not present, but these other girls are here present with no kids. You know what I mean? And helping me now with my job. So are they gonna see that, okay, now I'm too occupied, but this girl isn't?
Right. Right.
So I did struggle with that a lot. It ended up working out in the end because then the pandemic hit. But I did feel that in the beginning. It does make you very insecure. It does make you feel very okay.
And I feel that's crazy, right? Because we as women are having babies every minute of the day. We as women have children. Men are here because of us. Let me just throw that out there. There ain't no fucking shade here, man. You are here because a woman birthed you. So you need to understand that women need a bonding time with their child. Aurea, I can really relate with you. My daughter was born 1 pound, 14 ounces and was in the NICU for 3 months too. So I understand the dynamic. I understand how difficult that is. It's a whole life-changing event. Your life went from and now your child needs special care. Your child needs one-on-one care. So that's different levels. Not to take away from the moms who have a full-blown baby, but it's it's extra going to the hospital if you're breastfeeding and so on. So it can get really deep.
And not only that, Zeta, it also was, it's out of the blue. You give birth out of the blue. You know what I mean? You didn't plan your maternity leave. You didn't even speak of your maternity leave yet. You know what I mean? So you had to take this time off to give birth, to deal with a baby, to deal with a NICU baby, and then have to talk about your maternity leave when the baby comes out from the NICU.
Yeah.
So you're so vulnerable when it comes to that because you're like, what do I do?
Right. That's a great point because you're right. It's not conventional. She didn't work her whole 9 months. At this point, when the baby's home is when you actually want to take your maternity leave so that you can bond with your child. And I know there's this hidden hysteria at work of how long they took for maternity leave. There was women who were taking 6 months that people were talking badly about. She took 6 months? What? And, that should really start the conversation as women. And really quickly, let's go around the room. How long is enough for you to spend with your baby? I mean, no time is enough. But if you had to put a number on it, ladies, what would you say?
I say 3 months is fair.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good amount. 3 months is fair.
Good amount. I was ready for 6 months.
That's a whole vacation. The baby's almost eating.
No. I mean, this was for me. I had 4 months. I actually had 4 months. because I suffered with postpartum depression. So I had an extension of time, and I just couldn't gauge. I was struggling with my emotions, and that was one thing with the separation anxiety, but it was a whole nother level dealing with my emotional stage.
Right.
Because there was things that I didn't understand what was happening with me.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's one thing that you don't want to be separated from your child, but it's another element of what's happening with you. And you
Right.
got to do well enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was only given 6
I would have
weeks.
loved to stay longer with my child, but yeah, that's why I was like, yes.
It's one of those things where you want to, but then also, guys, like for me, I'll tell you from my experience, I was home with my child for 3 months, and during those 3 months, I was losing my mind. I was like, what am I gonna do now? I can't, because
like you want to have a conversation with an adult. You don't want to zag your day through and be all these cartoons or whatever.
I was like, no, I'm ready to be in the
like
work.
Go into the
and you can't call nobody because everybody's at work.
Yeah, facts.
You trying to call your friend and she's like, I can't talk right now because I'm at work.
Right now, at work.
Yeah, that's how it
like,
be when
come
I
on.
was and stuff. I was only given 6 weeks, and that's actually, I feel like, an issue because I had to actually negotiate my maternity leave, and I actually had to threaten to leave the company if I wasn't given a certain amount of time. And I was at the end of it, at the end of it, we came up with a negotiation of 6 weeks. So I was able to stay home with Lucas for 6 weeks, which I felt so defeated because I was like, I lost 4 months of my child's life. I actually went back to work 2 weeks after I gave birth to Lucas. 2 weeks after I gave birth to Lucas, I was still recovering from my C-section and I was at work. And they only gave me 6 weeks maternity leave. And that's why I say, this sounds crazy, but the COVID was a blessing because 2 weeks, it was 3 weeks after I returned to work, COVID hit, and I was able to stay home with Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wow.
I was only given
That's
6
intense.
6 weeks.
Wow.
6, and I was they wanted to only give me 3, but I had to threaten to leave the company if I didn't get the 6 weeks.
So Adia, let me ask you a question, and this may be personal. You can feel free not to answer it. But at Mama's Cocktail Hour, we try to be real. How was your relationship with your boss when you went back to work? Were you resentful? Was he resentful? What was that dynamic?
So through the whole stay of Lucas NICU, I was very resentful. Because when Lucas was in the NICU, I felt like I should have been able to be with my son, but I couldn't because I felt like I had to be at work. I felt like they were, so I was very resentful that whole time. I blamed everything on them. For a long time, I blamed the reason why I gave birth to Lucas was because of the stress, and it was because of them, and everything I blamed on them. When nurses and doctors would call me and I was at work, I would blame it on them. I was so resentful. Resentful towards them. I literally, to this day, sometimes I feel like it was their fault Lucas came so early because of the stress and the pressure I felt, and because I felt like I had to be there, because if not, how am I going to support my kid?
And that's so true. We deal with that as women, right? How are we able to manage the motherly nurture side of things and then still be professional, badass, and bringing money into the household? Right. I know that's something I deal with often. When I was going through my stuff with my daughter and trying to be home, I mean, I wanted to be home with my daughter to build that bond, but I was also fearful for my job.
Right.
So I think that's definitely a workplace insecurity where we deal with child care or child issues, because I almost feel like when I have to say my kid is sick to take off, I almost feel like that's a weakness.
Right.
Or that's being looked at as you're not capable. And why is that?
When I first got into the position and I had no kids of nothing, and then I found out I was pregnant and I had just got the position, I didn't want to tell them that I was pregnant. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose my job.
Right.
And I felt intimidated by the idea that they were gonna judge me, because here it was, I just got this amazing position, and oh my goodness, how can I, I was already doubting. I don't know that I was doubting. I don't think I was doubting. I was just like, I was already, I guess, judging myself in the idea of getting this position in the timeline of my pregnancy.
I know what happened. You and Iggy were celebrating. And
We
then
were
it was
celebrating.
like, let's get it on.
And it was like, let's get it on. It was like, all right, got it on. Right? Got it on. And it was like, oh, snaps. Stick in hand. 2 double lines. It came through.
I'm pregnant.
I was just like, what am I going to do? And thank God I spoke to my previous manager who happened to be a woman, and I was like, what am I going to do? Maria, what am I going to do? And she was like, Nancy, what are you doing? You don't go ahead and stop planning your family for a company.
Wow, that's deep.
Not. You go ahead. You not only have a family and you do it while you're in this position and you make it happen.
Facts.
Right.
I was like, really? She goes, they can't fire you. They can't do anything. Because guess what? It's your right. And you
Amen.
And she goes, now it's time for us to have a baby. And I was like, what? And she was just such a driving force. She was just, she is, because she's still around. She's just my mentor. She is a strong, independent woman.
I love that.
And it was just like, she was my voice. She was the voice that I needed to propel me to say, I'm in this position because I warrant it.
Right.
I have nothing to be shy about.
Right.
It's within my right to have a family. I should not be judging or doubting my ability to start a family with my husband.
And it's
nothing to be shy about.
Brought that up because one of my bosses will always say, if you get pregnant, you can work here. If you get pregnant, you can work here. I used to share that with you, Jasmine, right? I used to tell you, if you have a baby, you can work here. So, we used to just laugh it off, ha ha ha. But when I became pregnant, I was like, okay, this is not a joke. You know what I mean? And it was so awkward because it was such exciting news and I wanted to share with the world. And even though it was like he was joking, I still felt a certain type of way to tell him. Like almost as if I had to hide it,
Right.
And us Spanish women, I didn't want to tell him because I felt like he was gonna put some brujeria on me, some ojo. And you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna tell him, I gotta wait till after 3 months. You know what I mean? All these things,
Yeah.
So
that's so true.
Like it's like it was very hard. It was like when is the right time to tell your boss or your that you're pregnant? When is the right time to let them know, okay, this is what's gonna happen, or
definitely after the 3 months, because if you Puerto Rican, you have to wait till the 3 months, because
3 months. That's it. That was my timeline.
Well, with me, it was kind of different. I had to actually let one of my bosses know because I actually did the IUI. Okay. So I had to let them know what I was going through and what I was doing because I needed time,
Right.
So that's what made it a awkward situation. It was because he knew that I was going through the, doing all the things to become pregnant. But I didn't want to tell him I was pregnant because I didn't want them out de ojo because he said nobody could be pregnant. You can't work here. You know what I mean? So
she didn't want that negative energy.
Yeah. So it was like, what do you do? But I feel like also it's unfair. It's unfair. Yeah. That we have to go through that. We have to deal with all that stress and something that's so natural and beautiful. You as a woman have to feel like, oh my gosh, like it's horrible. It's a mistake. What are you doing? How dare you put a family, a baby before your job?
Mm-hmm. I agree, folks. And I think that's definitely a workplace insecurity. Jazz, do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, when I was just me with CJ, when it was just me and my son by myself, I was determined for them to forget that I had a kid. I made it a point to make sure that I always figured out my daycare situation, my babysitting situation, because I was like, yo, I do not want to be that person that they look at, that young Spanish girl who has a baby and she's not going to be responsible and you can't count on her. So I was like really aggressive about making sure that I was super dependable.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want them to look at me that way. You know, now it's different. I'm older, I have a different support system, and I know, you know, that I have to put my children first.
Right.
But as a single mom who was in her 20s, I was not trying to take that risk, which is bad. It shouldn't be that way, but that's how it was.
I also think, what about this, Jazz? Do you think it was fear of being judged?
It was fear of being judged, and I didn't want to be. So I have this thing. I don't want to be judged on nothing else but the work that I do. Right. And even back then, so that to me was like, I'm not going to have them pass me up for something or look at me like I'm incapable because of this situation. You know, I didn't understand at that point that I have rights, and, you know, like I'm a mom and that comes first. Because in my mind, I'm like, well, how am I not going to take care? How am I going to not take care of him if I don't have a job? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, I was like super hyper vigilant about making sure that I always, which to a fault, because I also missed a lot of things when it came to him. My mom went to a lot of the things for CJ because she had more flexibility than I did. And at times I didn't want to ask.
I agree. I could feel that.
Question, being moms from, you know, from older kids, did you guys ever have to take your kids to work? And because you didn't have a babysitter, and if you did, how did that feel? Did you feel shame? Did you feel that you were still being judged, even though you figured out a way to still make it there? How did that feel?
I did that one time with CJ and it did not go well.
Really? No. You brought him to work?
I had no choice. I was like, either that or not. And I brought him to work and I set him in the waiting area. And he was playing with his little toys. And I thought I was going to get away with it. And then I was called into the office at the end of the day. So they let me work the whole shift.
All day.
Yeah.
What did they say to you?
They told me that it was unprofessional, that it was a liability, and that I need to make better arrangements when it came to childcare.
Yo, that's next level.
I felt so angry and embarrassed because like they let me work the whole shift.
Did you cry? I would have cried out of anger though.
I did cry because I was embarrassed and I was struggling and I thought I did the right thing.
You did do the right thing, girl. Let's not lose sight of this.
And let me tell you something. Everybody who knows my son CJ, he was a good little boy. So he sat there and he was just playing with his little toys in the waiting area because I could see him from the reception. And I felt so defeated. And that actually is also one of the reasons why I became super hyper vigilant about making sure nobody could ever say, you know.
And you see, that's so unfortunate that you were judged for that, because I did have times that, you know, massage therapists, they were moms and they would bring their kids in and I'll be like, sure, no problem, not an issue. And I would let them sit in the, you know, front with us and I would give them activities and let them help me work and stuff like that. I would embrace it because I felt like, listen, I understand. Like I've seen my mom go through it. You have kids, sometimes it don't happen. But I respect the fact and appreciate the fact that you were willing to bring your child to work to make it here.
Yo, facts.
You know?
I
saw that, then call out. So, you know, how is that not like, you know what I mean? Okay. You know?
That's badass. You know, I would never ever, and I guess this is because maybe I'm a mom and I may be biased to this, but I would never, ever judge somebody for bringing their kid to work. Because like you said, if you made it to work and you here with your kid, like I could already tell like you different levels of loyal, you know? So shout out to all the dope moms out there who are struggling with this. We hear you. We're here for you. This is Mama's Cocktail Hour where we talk real conversation, guys. So we're moving on quickly to number 9. And number 9 kind of ties into what we were saying, which is kind of feeling, let me just get the right terminology for you here, guys. Hold on. It's feeling like your shortcomings, like if you have shortcomings in a job. And I know that we kind of feel like this often where we feel like, you know, maybe we're not the best at Excel. Maybe we're not the best at PowerPoint. Maybe we're not the best. So really quickly, guys, give me one thing that you feel like your shortcomings at your job. Let's start with Nancy. One thing that you're shortcoming at your job.
I would say that I'm still trying to build on the technology side of my job, because now they're introducing the virtual world.
Yes.
Like with Zoom and all this stuff. And I'm starting to build with that. So that is probably an area that I'm okay with, but I want a subject matter expert with. So I take it upon myself to do extras. And I mean, this would be my extras right now.
So, Jazz, what about you really quickly?
That's it.
Something that I feel like I'm shortcoming in. Oh, wow, I'm perfect. I guess some aspects of technology. I still get frustrated with certain things. My answer to everything is to turn off the computer and restart it. But I think that's just probably it. I don't really. That sounds bad, right? But I don't really.
No, I don't think it sounds bad. I think it's dope. Like, you know, I think like there's so much new things in technology. We need to take the moment to kind of always be ahead of the game. I would say one thing for me is definitely not wearing my emotions on my face, because when someone annoys me at work, I'm like, and it's like everybody can see that. So if I had to change one thing, it was like, yo, Zeta, get yourself a poker face because you need one, girl. We can tell when you don't like somebody straight up. What about you, Aurea?
Same. It's just very like, just you could just see it. You know what I mean? It's just, it is what it is, and I have to work on that because it's not professional. You know, it really is not professional. You know, when you sometimes you don't even realize it. You know.
Yeah.
Sometimes your friend got to nudge you, like.
Yeah, and it's horrible, especially like a manager or something, and this, you know, this employee's talking to you, just like.
You need a cardboard, a little card.
You
don't even realize
levels to the face.
That kind of goes forward.
So agree. And bringing us to number 10, guys, which is our last one, is working in a male-dominated field. I know I deal with that in my specific department really quickly. I would feel like I work in a male-dominated field as far as leadership goes, like how Aurea was saying. So there are times that I feel like I need to kind of bring it back. And I feel intimidated because I don't want to overstep. And I don't want to look like, you know, I don't want to look too emotional, but I also want to be firm. So I struggle with that because naturally I'm an aggressive person. I'm someone who kind of takes a stand. And I think for a lot of men or women, that can be intimidating. Jasmine, what about you?
I think the same thing. I'm super aggressive as well. When I believe something's right, I believe something's right. If I feel you're doing something wrong, I'm going to say it. So I guess I also have to learn how to not take it back, but do it in a different type of way. Again, because I want my message to be heard. Right. I don't want it to get lost.
That's so true. Nancy, what about you?
I'm sorry.
I said, what about you? What do you feel like you experience in a male-dominated field, or what do you think that you can learn from that?
Well, I mean, you can learn a lot. You can just learn to, for me, I've learned to kind of hold my own.
Right.
So kind of be more focused and more driven.
Oh, I like that. Definitely. Aurea?
What I have learned is just stand your ground. You know what I mean? Do you, don't let them intimidate you, and just always, me personally, you always have to show them that you're more stronger and better than their wife. Now, I know that sounds controversial, but that is the truth. You have
Wait, let's go back. Why there?
That's just how it works. At least that's what I learned. That's just how it works. You have to show them that, listen, this is what it is. Okay. I'm not her. I'm not scared to speak up to you. I don't go to bed with you at the end of the night. I'm here. This is what it is. I'm gonna speak my truth. This is what I'm not scared of you. You don't intimidate me. It is what it is. That's just how I feel. That's
I can't lie. Like, I need some of that Aurea syrup. Like, now, how do I sip from it? Because I could be aggressive, I could be assertive, I could be strong-minded, but to be open and real like you to like in the workplace is different levels. And I think that's dope. I have to say that. As a woman, I gotta say that on here. I think that's dope.
I just feel like I mean, like I said, I just feel like some women are it's just in us to just be scared and fearful. Right. And to me, I don't see it like that. I just see it as like, listen, at the end of the day, I don't go home with you. At the end of the day, you don't pay my bills, you don't pay my rent. You may sign my check, but there's still somebody above you that I could work that out with. So I'm gonna stand my truth. I'm gonna hold my ground, and it is what it is. It is what it is. You know what I mean?
I'm loving all of Aurea's truths here. Today was an amazing day, folks. We were able to talk 10 workplace insecurities that we as women encounter. We gave personal experiences from what we go to day. And I think that's it, folks. Like, final thoughts? What does anybody have to say? Final thoughts. Let's go around the room real quickly. Aurea, what do you think?
Just like I say, just be you. Never be afraid. You know, always hold your own, always be your truth, always be strong, say what's on your mind, even if you regret it later. And it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to be dramatic if that's who you are. Do it.
I love that. Nance, what do you have to say?
Just keep striving for the best because we are the best.
Woo! Jazz?
Don't dim your light because somebody else didn't pay their Con Edison bill.
And let me think really quickly. I would say just keep being you, because at the end of the day, you is what's gonna take you to the next level. Nobody else.
Yep.
So ladies, thank you so much for joining us here at Mama's Cocktail Hour. I think these 10 workplace insecurities are gonna go forward and empower some women. I thought it was dope. Aurea, thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. It was so much fun. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes. And for anybody who hasn't, please click the link in the notification so you can be alerted when there's a next video. We are on Instagram at Mama's Cocktail Hour. We have our website at www.mamascocktailhour.com. We also have a Twitter at Our Mama. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button, what are you waiting for? We talk all things mama here. It's super dope. Real conversation with real women. Click the link in the notification button so you can be alerted when there's a next video. And be sure to subscribe to Mama's Cocktail Hour, guys. Bye.